I had too much hot weather. Anyway, thank you for this opportunity to share Phoenix bats with you all. I've really enjoyed working for this company. We got started back in the early 1990s. I don't know if any of you heard the little clip on NPR recently. I think the gentleman said 9 years, but actually we're celebrating our 20th anniversary next year. Charlie Trudeau founded Phoenix Bats. He is from the Columbus, Ohio area. He was remodeling homes in German Village and had one of those hand-turned lathes that he used for the spindles on staircases. And at the same time, he was playing ball with the Ohio Muffins. Raise of hands, how many have heard of vintage baseball and Ohio Muffins? Not many, but okay. He currently, let's fast forward real quick, he's on the board of directors for BBBA, which is Vintage Baseball Association. But back in the 1990s, the Ohio Historical Society needed a couple of bats for this special event. They knew Charlie as a player. They knew that he remodeled these homes, so they reached out to him and said, "Hey, Lefty," his nickname, "can you cut us a couple of bats?" And he said, "You do know I have never cut a baseball bat, right?" And they said, "Yeah, but go ahead. We know you're a good craftsman." He did it. He kind of did the research, cut these 2 bats, and they went over so well that he started accumulating all these orders. The vintage players across Ohio that knew Lefty from ball, they would call him and say, "Hey, I want you to cut me a bat." So he did. And he really got so many orders there that he just couldn't juggle the 2 anymore. So he started going into the bat business. We got our foot in the door with vintage bats, hence the name. Phoenix rises from the ashes. He was bringing back bats that hadn't been used in over 100 years. I mean, when they play vintage ball, they're playing by 1860s rules. And for those of you that don't know it, the mitt didn't come out until the 1880s, so these gentlemen are catching line drives barehanded. It's some serious stuff. Coming up Labor Day weekend is actually one of the largest events. It's called the Ohio Cup. It will be hosted down at the Ohio Historical Society, but they'll also, I think, have some games in Hilliard because they've got that historical village there too. But it's kind of neat. You ought to check it out. But be warned. When they play, the vintage players play by 1860s rules, so it's no spitting, no sliding, no swearing, and they wear those nice, hot wool uniforms. If it's a hot Labor Day weekend, talk to them from a distance. But that's how we got started. So we've got a great assortment of vintage bats. And I did bring one, and I'm just going to kind of pass it around the room so y'all can kind of see how baseball has changed. This one here is a replica of Shoeless Joe Jackson's bat. If you've seen Field of Dreams, he's the first player out of the cornfield. It's a heavy bat. It's made out of ash. It's got a big barrel, super thick transition to the handle, and this is a massive handle. So I'm going to pass this around to you ladies. And I'll keep it going. This same bat model was swung by a player in the 1800s as well, late 1800s, if you love baseball and history. Cap Hansen's his name. He too swung a model like this one. Now the guys, it's truly a big barrel, skinny handle. The nature of the game back then was to slap at the ball, keep it close to home plate, in hopes to get a single, a double, maybe a triple. Home runs were really, really rare. I think a few happened, but they were super rare. Now you've got these guys that are breaking bats a lot, but they're hitting home runs, you know. I did bring a few of those. One I brought, now I know ladies, y'all are going to think this is so boring. I mean, it's all natural, no frills, but a lot of those pro players like that. This one is Angel Pagan's bat. He does currently primarily swing Phoenix, which is cool. I'm going to pass this around just so you can compare, because you've got that shoeless out there. See how this one feels and looks. This one's made out of maple. Now that one's ash. We also do birch. How we got into the pro business and started cutting bats for the pros, I think Charlie was approached by a player within the Brewers organization in the late 1990s. The guy, he was a minor league player, and said, "Hey Charlie, could you just cut me some bats?" Charlie said, "Sure." And then he gets this phone call. You can't just cut a bat for a pro. We had to go through all these obstacles, and we continue to get pro approved every year. You've got to give Major League Baseball a lot of money. You've got to submit bats for approval, follow all their guidelines. You'll notice an ink dot on that maple bat, I believe. I pulled that one off the wall, so I'm not sure how it's done. But we have to do ink dots on the pro models as well. We have to have a good high liability insurance coverage. I know a lot of you have seen what happened on the news at Fenway Park not too long ago. I mean, a bat broke pretty violently, and it was a little rare how it broke, But sometimes that happens because you just don't know what's inside the billet, and other times it may be because the manufacturer didn't follow the guidelines. I don't know what the result of that one was, and it wasn't our bat. We'll say that. But so we got into it. We got pro-approved in 2000, and we've consistently stayed pro-approved. Adam Eaton's our hometown favorite from Ohio, who swings us. He's an outfielder with the White Sox. Miguel Cabrera was swinging us when he got the Triple Crown. He swung us a few years before and a few years after, and what's really cool is we never paid him to swing us. He chose to swing us in addition to another bat manufacturer that does pay him. He is under contract with them, which is why he doesn't order from us now, because sometimes when the pro's under contract, the bat manufacturer can really tighten that up. They can say, we're going to give you X amount of money, but you got to swing us 90% of the time, or you have to swing us in games and nobody else. You know, they can kind of dictate that. So he does not currently swing us. Peralta with the Diamondbacks swings us. We've got Ray Geyer, I think he's with the Rays. Chris Jimenez, who was with the Indians, got transferred to the Rangers, and this is where I stopped quoting. It's hard to keep up with these guys. If you've seen Moneyball, Field of Dreams, all those baseball movies, these guys can wake up one morning and be traded. They can get the phone call and you've been traded. It's time to move. And I've actually done a tour one morning. I started telling people about this guy who played for them. And when I got back to the front car, I said, he just got traded. He's not living anymore. I thought, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. But our rep, we've got one of the only female sales reps, pro reps in the industry right now. She's out in Arizona, and she does a great job with our social media and kind of getting the pictures out of who's swinging us, what bats are going out the door, what pros are wearing our swag, and you ladies might find this kind of cool. I don't necessarily watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, but one of the Bachelors, he was at spring training and he got one of our shirts, and she, Juan Pablo or something like that, but it got the most likes. I found that kind of humorous. But it got the most likes out of all these pictures that she posts out there. But with Phoenix Bats, we also do tours. We manufacture bats for the amateurs, softball players. We've got men's leagues on the East Coast who have gone to all wood. Just for safety reasons, because there's a lot of abuse with the men's softball leagues. They'll go and pound those metal bats up against the telephone pole and deteriorate the material inside, and it makes it super dangerous. The ball will pop off so fast and injure the infielders. So the leagues who can't control that, they kind of said, we're done with it, we're going to wood. We also have the University of Northern Iowa's women's softball team trains with Phoenix Bats, and they have been for 4 years. They are seeing the training benefits, so it's really neat to see that transition across the nation. Dads always knew that it was beneficial for boys to train with wood no matter what they're swinging in the game. Finally, it's going over to the women's softball. So we've got the women's softball bats. Women's softball is not about to go to wood, but it's beneficial for them to train with it, and it's neat to kind of see how that's trickling across that educational curve. We are also the official bat for over-the-line softball. Anybody from San Diego? No, it's a really cool sport. You should check it out. It's like a golf swing. I had to go to San Diego for a weekend in July, bless my heart. We are sponsoring 2 of the elite teams within the World Championship, so we had to go. It was really, but it was so neat. Check that out, though. We even created our own page dedicated to beach softball, because there's only 3 people on each team, and the field's totally different. It's really unique. It's a relaxed game, so much so that our GM, Seth Kramer, and one of the owners, he and I came back going, God, how could we start that up here? It's such a fun game. I can't think of too many sandy beaches in Ohio, but if you know of some, let me know. We just need 55 feet this way and 55 plus that way. But anyway, so that's a neat new adventure. And then I know we have partnered with a local business. Isn't this a cool bat? We have partnered with a local business who does a skin process. If you've heard of how they really pimp out those motorcycles and such, and they do a hydro wash, they'll put the pieces underwater and kind of shimmy it up and put some type of design on there. That's how this was done. We essentially will launch a limited edition skin every month, something different. We're doing skulls in October, and it exceeded my sales expectations. It tripled my expectations last October, and I'm shocked. But we're bringing it back in October again. We do skulls, camo, all kinds of stuff. Some carbon fiber that looks like a tuxedo bat. That's my feminine spin on it. But there's all kinds. What we'll do is we'll prep the bat. When we cut the bat, there's excess bat nubs on there. We leave them. We'll do the base color, and then we'll batch it, take it over to that other business, and he will apply the skin. He'll submerge it in water and apply the skin. Send it back to us, and we'll dip it in clear a couple of times and then engrave it. So we still finish it off and seal it up. We studied it and researched it to make sure it didn't take on any water or any of that, and it's just truly a good product. And some people, there's no proof, no solid research, but some of the players, they insist that these are more durable. It may be a mental thing, you know, because it's got that wrap on there, but it's kind of neat. I'll pass this around. We also do trophy and award bats. That's one of my favorites because I obviously don't play baseball. I played soccer in college. I love the history of baseball, and I love being a part of this game, but I enjoy working with businesses. We do award bats for all kinds of people. T-Mobile, politicians, Scalise down in Louisiana, Rainer here. We've worked with Limited Too, Augustus, Banks, FCB, or 300 junior trophy bats for a sales initiative. You know, so fun things. We can put logos on bats. We can help them brainstorm on how to kind of do. I love this money bat for a sales initiative. You know, if you got somebody who's Morgan Stanley, for instance, my cousin's sister-in-law works for Morgan Stanley. She loved that idea for people who had sold more than $1 million. She said, okay, you know, big hitter, heavy hitter, something like that to give it to these people. It's just a unique thing, and I think I put some cards out there, and that gives you a little more idea of what we do with the award bat. And then for you, man, this is my favorite thing. Your favorite adventure that we're in right now is we have created beer tap handles for home brewers, and we co-branded our first 2 beers this summer. That's pretty special. One of them's with a brewing company in Spartanburg, South Carolina, called us and said, hey, this is what we want to do. We're opening up our shop in October. We want to brew a batch of beer with your wood. So he bought one of each, the birch, maple, and ash, and he actually cut it up into pieces and burned it and put it into the brewing kettle and brewed it like that. Came to visit us and let us do a little taste test, and it was delicious. He's naming it Phoenix Rising, and he's launching that in October, and he even got a dozen other bats with all the engraving information, his business logo, all the specs on that beer. And he's going to brew the big batches with those large bats, and then at their grand opening, they're going to auction those off and donate the money to charity. So it's a neat way for us to be a part of giving back to the community there. We also have Fort Collins Brewing Company in Colorado call us. They brewed a batch with maple wood. It's supposed to be served through September at the average Joe bars around town. I know they've sold out in Hilliard. I'm not sure about the other locations, but it's called Hometown Hellas. They brewed it with our maple wood, and it's a great, delicious summer beer. So that's, and I've got an adventure brewing with a local one. With a local brewing company, I'm excited to see what happens there. This is something that we didn't anticipate, but you know, baseball here in Ohio is not necessarily all year round. I mean, training takes place in the winter months, but it's not like it is in Florida, Louisiana, California, and whatnot. So it's neat to be doing a new adventure. And that brings me to this bat that I'm going to pass around and start off over here. This is the bat that Fort Collins Brewing Company, one of the ones they use. This is a maple bat. They drilled a bunch of holes into it before they put it into the brewing kettle, and they put their logo on here, and they put information regarding the beer and all that good stuff. You don't want to open that bad without one thing I really want to say too that makes this job real easy for me is that there are a lot of other wood bat manufacturers that have different grades of wood. They'll have, you know, your amateur quality, your premium, and your elite. What's great about ours, we don't mill our own wood, so we're highly selective for everybody. So it's easy. I know I'm pushing a good product all the time. We might try to tweak our production process to meet other budget needs, but you're never sacrificing quality, and that's important. We have a ton. If you ever come out to a tour or check us out online, we'll have a lot of excess sawdust and wood chips. I mean, you'll see 80 to 100 pound bags stacked in the warehouse. We partnered with a couple of local farmers, and we give those to them. They use it for their farm animals. They clean up the spills with the fine grain sawdust, and they'll use the fluffy stuff for bedding. They like coming to us because they know that we don't have the woods that could be harmful to their animals, like walnuts harmful for horses. And they know what we're getting, or what they're getting from us. No money exchanges hands. You know, it's not always about the bottom dollar. It's about partnering with your local businesses and meeting each other's needs. I have something that they can use. You know, they're helping me get rid of it. I mean, they're 80 to 100 pound bags. We had a horse farmer this summer who called me. She had attended a tour and she said, hey, I know you already work with those two farmers, but do you happen to have any extra sawdust? And I said, it is your lucky day. The farmers are in the field. I've got 38. Bring 2 men and a big trailer and you take it off. And so she did. We also, the bat nubs, if you see a bat being made, we'll cut the bat. It'll have excess pieces on the end that we just saw off. We collect those in these large metal drums, and we also give those to another local business in Plain City that has a wood-burning furnace. And that's the core of their business. So they're helping us out. Those things are heavy. They'll come in and pick those up from us from time to time. So it's kind of neat working with the local businesses. I really like that old school business practice because you don't see it so much anymore. Also, I've got a couple of questions for you. I'm gonna give out a couple of hats. 2 questions with pro players. How many bats do you think the big leaguers buy a season?
96. 20.
15.
40.
No?
75. 120.
Oh, 120. They go through 10 to 12 dozen bats a season. 10 to 12. But there's a trick question in there. I said, how many do you think they buy? They don't buy any. It's free to the big leaguers. But we're capitalists at the end of the day. We need to make some money. So the teams are buying the big leaguers with bats. With the minor league players, it's a little upside down. The fellas that are at the bottom, they're buying everything. And they're making a list. As they are identified as top prospects and their agent believes in them and the team starts investing in them, I could potentially split an order 3 different ways. You know, the agent can say, hey, I'm going to help you out. The team may give them X amount of dollars. They'll cover ash, but the kid wants maple, and so on. So it can get a muddled mess with the minor league players. They go through probably 4 to 6 dozen a year, and they order half a dozen at a time. Big leaguers are ordering a dozen at a time. All right. Now, big leaguers, they got to swing shades of blacks, browns, naturals. We can do this cool burn look on the ash bats. But they can swing a color 1 holiday a year. What color and what holiday? Mother's Day pink. That is right. So that's another cool way that wood bat manufacturers can give back. The players are essentially, they'll tell their equipment manager, hey, I want to swing pink today. They will order for them. We'll cut the bats. Typically, it's 2 or 3 pink bats. They'll swing those bats in that game on Mother's Day. At the end of the day, they're auctioned off and all the proceeds go to breast cancer awareness and research. So it's a cool way for all of us to give back. And also it's kind of neat. But listen, I don't want to take up any more time. I want to open the floor to any questions. I'd be happy to answer.